I've had some really great questions lately on social media asking me to explain more in detail what I eat every day, how I come to the decisions of what to eat and how it makes me feel, and using carnivore and lion diet as an elimination diet to heal deficiencies, to heal illness, and whether I follow a set of rules or there's something else that drives the way that I eat. So I thought that it would be more helpful to talk about it here and explain some things more in detail than maybe trying to type it all out and have everyone who's interested read it. So I'm going to go through some things here that I'm hoping will resonate with someone or might be helpful. So I approach eating and health and nutrition not from dogma and not from a place of rules. Every food choice and beverage choice that I've made and that I have investigated have all come from two key questions that I ask myself. It's kind of like seeing everything through a lens of rose colored glasses. And every food and beverage that I see, these two questions run through my mind. And that's how I land on whether I'm going to eat that food or not. So it's not based in rules. These two questions that I ask myself highlight that this is a healing elimination diet. That if you put in the ongoing effort, you'll eventually land on a really rock solid foundation. And you'll know beyond a shadow of a doubt every single food and every single beverage that you come in contact with, you'll know whether it promotes healing, whether it promotes harm, or it's something that you can enjoy from time to time. I wish, I wish that I could just give each of you a list of yes, no foods and sometimes foods. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. Each person has to make themselves their own n equals one experiment, and each person has to put in the work to discover what works best for them. There is no list. You can start with a framework of animal based or ketogenic or carnivore. You can start with that basic framework, but everyone is so different and everyone's history is different. Everyone's illnesses are different, and everyone is going to react to individual food groups and individual foods differently. When I coach a client, I don't tell them what to eat or what not to eat. I help them evaluate and discover what is the best way of eating for them to help them attain vibrant health. So, these two questions of how I approach every food and beverage, I ask myself, does this food or beverage negatively affect me? And the second question is, does this food or beverage help me reach my health goals? Thinking about foods from those two questions, there becomes no right or wrongs. There's no rules, no guilt, no deprivation. It actually brings freedom because you're coming from a place of discovering what foods and beverages are going to make you feel your best every single day, that you know will be consistent. You can eat that food and you know how you will feel. It's not a guessing game of, okay, I want to try this, but I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to feel sick tonight? Am I going to not feel well tomorrow? Am I going to be bloated? Am I going to be in pain? Am I going to be inflamed? That's why it's so important to make yourself your own experiment and not base what you eat on what someone else eats. Because that diet, that way of eating that someone else has discovered for them is definitely not necessarily going to work for you. For example, I have lots of friends that are on low carb, ketogenic diets, and they can enjoy salads, lettuce, low oxalate vegetables, grilled onions, fermented sauerkraut, and all of those different low oxalate and low toxin vegetables. And that, if I adhered to that, if I approached my healing through that and didn't go further, didn't go more strict, I would not have attained the healing that I stand in for the last 7 years. I always tell others to only go as strict as your illness dictates. Not everyone needs to go super, super strict. But if the way of eating that you are currently doing, that you're still experiencing lingering illness, well, then that is an indicator that you may need to tweak some things. You may need to investigate and possibly play around with and eliminate some more things to see if you can, quote unquote, clean up or eliminate that lasting, lingering illnesses so that you can feel great every single day. But everyone is so different, and there is no way to tell someone else exactly what's going to work for them. So I thought I would go through categories of foods and beverages and things that I use every day, and either shout out what I eat and how it makes me feel, or list some of the products that I use that might be helpful to someone else. So, of course, the first big category is meat. 95%, 99% of what I consume every day, of course, is going to be animal products. And the majority of what I eat is beef. I eat ground beef. I eat steak when I can find it on sale. I eat a lot of slow cooked roasts that I can put in the slow cooker and make 4 to 6 pounds at a time. And I have a meal or several meals ready for the next few days that I only just need to reheat. The next category in meat would be pork. I can now, 7 years in, enjoy some bacon and ham. At the beginning, those were tough for me. The fat profile in bacon bothered my GI tract, and it took some time for some healing to take place. So for me, when I overconsumed bacon or overconsumed anything with too high fat profile, like a ribeye steak, I would get very nauseous. I would get very full very fast and not be able to get much protein in. I would experience indigestion and heartburn. And it was only by investigating and starting to eliminate some things that I discovered that the super high fat was bothering me at the beginning. And I was able to structure that in a way to get those symptoms to go away and get my protein back up where it needed to be for my healing protocols, but still have a really, really good fat profile within the beef that I was eating. I just needed to investigate and experiment and figure out what was going to make me feel good every day. And then, as every 3 months or 6 months time that would pass, I would then reintroduce a different meat with a higher fat profile and see how I did. And if I would have a reaction, I would back off on it for a little while again. And if there was no reaction, then I could leave it in. The next meat is chicken. I'll eat chicken. I'll eat it when I am out somewhere, if someone else is preparing it, if we're on vacation, if that's what's being served. But for me at home, me cooking and what my go-to foods are, it's hardly ever chicken. It just doesn't satiate me the way that beef does. And there are some times when I consume chicken and some cuts of pork, like pork roast or pork tenderloins. I just don't feel very well. I have some GI distress that I think is related to what is fed to the pigs and the chickens, which is going to be different than what is fed to cows, and the gastric system that a cow has, their multiple chambers of stomachs, is going to digest, and that nutrition profile of the meat is going to be different for us consuming it. So I know that there are a lot of others that react to chicken and pork also, but it's not a bad reaction all the time. Um, it's just not what I usually gravitate towards. I enjoy fish. I used fish early on as part of my protocol for osteoporosis and for hypothyroid. Low mercury wild caught fish, and the ones that I chose were cod and salmon. They both have a really great nutrient profile of foods that I love. I don't eat foods that I don't like, but I eat foods that I love, and cod and salmon are particular favorites of mine. And they have iodine and selenium within them that are very, very important to thyroid health and bone health. So I chose those. Seafood is also a powerhouse of nutrition, but it's just not something that I really care for. I never have cared for oysters or crab. I really don't have any desire to eat sardines, but I have many friends who love them and enjoy them daily. So I'm a big proponent of eating what you crave and eating what you love. Um, it also can be a signal from your body if you are looking forward to them and if you enjoy them. It can be a signal that your body is giving you that you need more of those. So that's something that you would not want to push off if you were having those feelings. Next category is eggs. I absolutely love eggs, but they don't love me. They love me more now than they used to. Um, I've spent 6 years working through egg intolerance. Um, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when I embarked on this journey, I hadn't eaten an egg or any animal products for over 35 years. So if I'm going to be thankful for anything, I need to be thankful that eggs were the only thing that I had trouble with in terms of eating animal products. Um, that's a minor thing that I had to deal with. I'm thankful that I had no reactions to beef or any other meat that I tried to put back in. But I did all the things that I researched and knew to do to possibly heal my egg intolerance. I had, every time I ate one egg, I had severe bloating, indigestion, heartburn, nausea, and of course, that got compounded even more if I ate more than one egg and if I ate them multiple days in a row. So I took them out completely for 2 years, and then I tried them once every 6 months. And I secured my farmer neighbor, who pasture raises his chickens. So I knew that it wasn't grocery store eggs that were causing my reactions. I had switched over to very well cared for pastured chicken eggs. And I also implemented of removing the whites when I reintroduced them. I did yolk only, which is what is recommended to slowly heal egg intolerance. And then every 6 months, I did this. I reintroduced an egg yolk every day and watched for a reaction. If I had a reaction, I stopped again and I let another 6 months pass. And then I did it all over again. So, about 4 months ago, I was going through this cycle again. And this time, the prior cycle that I did egg yolk only. And I was able to do several weeks of one egg yolk a day with no reaction. So when I took a break and then reintroduced this last time, I used the whole egg. And much to my surprise and thankfulness, I did not have a reaction. And so I have eaten one egg every day or multiple eggs in a day and then taken several days off. If I eat 5 eggs, then I take 5 days off and then have eggs again. Or if I want to enjoy an egg with the rest of my meal every day, I eat one. So that I'm always in this egg to day ratio, so I don't overload my system and cause a reaction. Now, someday I will challenge that again and see how much more healing has taken place and be able to eat multiple eggs closer together in days. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. And I encourage anyone who loves eggs but experiences egg intolerance to not give up. This was a long process, but I'm really glad that I put the work in to do that because it provides more nutrition, it provides more variety into my diet, and it provides enjoyment. It provides freedom for me to be able to have different tastes and different ways of preparing food. And of course, it's also eventually going to involve recipes that I would implement that would involve eggs. And if I had not done this healing, um, that would be a category that I wouldn't even be able to explore. The next food category is dairy. Um, I I'm putting together a video that I'm going to release soon because I've had several people ask me my opinions on dairy. Is it good? Is it bad? What's my opinion? And I'm going to leave that topic to that video that I'm going to release. But in terms of myself, I am dairy intolerant. And I know what I feel like when I consume dairy, and I have no desire to feel that way every day. It causes me to have GI distress. It causes my face to break out. It causes me to have sinus congestion and mucus and throat irritation and itching. It changes my mood. It causes some anxiety and some brain fog. I just, it's not worth it to me. And I've checked out all the different avenues. I've checked out raw dairy. I've checked out A2 dairy. I've done all of the work in exploring how I could possibly put this in, and it just doesn't work for me. And um, I've been this way for many, 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 many years. So it's not something that I miss. I don't look at a piece of cheese and wish that I could eat it. I don't look at ice cream and wish that I could eat it the way other people enjoy it or the way other people yearn to eat it who have had to abstain from it for various reasons. So I at least don't have that part of the yearning of wanting to have dairy. Next category is fats. Um, because of my dairy intolerance, for me, my intolerance is so great that I also cannot use butter. But I cook differently for my husband than I cook for myself. So I have butter in the house. I use butter every day for foods that I cook for him, but it's just not something that I personally use for me. For me, I use tallow and I use ghee. I use unrefined coconut oil. I'll use lard. I've recently found a source of duck fat, and I've been using duck fat that has a stronger flavor and it changes the flavor of the meat or the eggs that I'm cooking it in. So those are the fats that I usually go to for cooking my own food. Let's touch on water. I drink a lot of water every day, about a gallon. Um, our cells, even with drinking lots of water, our cells can't properly hydrate if our water is not mineralized or remineralized, or we're not consuming enough unrefined mineral salt during the day on our food to then help our cells hydrate from the plain water that we're drinking. So that is important to me. I remineralize my drinking water with Baja Gold salt. I really like the nutrition and the mineral profile that is in Baja Gold. It has a slightly lower sodium content, which and I don't have a problem with sodium. Salt is life. The reason I highlight that is when a salt has lower sodium, it has the capacity to have a higher percentage of minerals. Most salt, even unrefined mineral salt like Redmond's, which I also love, is 95% sodium. So the 5% remaining room is where those trace minerals are. Baja Gold is somewhere around 80% sodium. So it has 20% capacity left for those unrefined minerals. It has a higher level of potassium, magnesium, and all of these different trace minerals that other unrefined mineral salts don't have. Baja Gold eliminated my nighttime leg cramps without having to spend more money on electrolyte packets or making my own electrolyte mix. So that's how strongly I feel about it. The minerals are so high in it that I didn't have to resort or spend extra budgeted money on actual electrolyte packets. And I have a discount code for Baja Gold if anyone wants to reach out to me, and I'll give you my code. It's a great salt. Condiments. I don't use these every day, but I enjoy them. There are times when I don't want to eat a plain burger with bacon. I want ketchup. I want mustard. I want mayo. Um, but I want to have that in a way that I'm not going to have a reaction to it or to have more sugar than what I think is necessary. So for ketchup, I use Primal Kitchen unsweetened ketchup. It is it's a great ketchup. I use regular yellow mustard. It's already low carb. Use it once in a while when I'm hungry for it. Mayonnaise, I either make my own with 100% pure extra virgin olive oil and egg yolk with an immersion blender, or animal fat or butter with the egg. Or I purchase Chosen mayo, the brand name Chosen, or I purchase a new one that I found. The brand name is Sir Kensington. It is a mayo that is also not using any seed oils. Next category, spices. Most spices I avoid for two reasons. A lot of spices are high in oxalate, and more than 10 of my physical illnesses were from oxalates. And so moving forward in a healed state, not having any of those illnesses anymore, I don't want to revisit that. I stay away from those spices. Turmeric, black pepper, and many others are high in oxalates. The other reason that I avoid them is I just don't feel good. I experience a lot of nausea, heartburn, and indigestion. And I've healed from GERD and IBS and all of these different gastrointestinal illnesses. And that's just not how I want to feel every day. If you see my videos of me cooking and I'm using spices and onions and all different things in my recipes, those are things that I cook for my husband and for my family. They're not things that I'm consuming myself. Coffee and tea is the next category. Um, I eliminated coffee for 4 years, and I just recently put it back in this year. I did not notice any negatives or positives when I eliminated it and when I put it back in. So I enjoy a cup of coffee every day. Tea, I've always enjoyed tea, plain black tea, unsweetened. And I actually used it early on as my oxalate source when I had eliminated all of the plant foods. And from my previous way of eating all of the oxalate toxins that I exposed my system to from overconsumption of spinach, celery, beets every day, every day, every day. Um, the way to mitigate oxalate dumping and not have that happen is to keep a small amount of an oxalate food in your diet every day, and it signals to your body to release the oxalates out of your system slowly and not all at once and cause oxalate dumping illness. So I not only enjoy tea, it was my source of oxalate, and so I didn't experience any kind of keto flu, keto rash, any kind of oxalate dumping, joint pain, more illness than what I was already experiencing from the oxalates. So I still have a cup of hot tea every day, and in the summer I enjoy a cup of iced tea. Um, Next is alcohol. For me personally, not advocating this for anyone else, especially if you're new on your journey. I am 7 years into this. I know exactly what things do to me. I know exactly how it affects me. And personally, I enjoy a glass of dry red wine with a steak once in a while. I I am thankful and grateful every day for my healing. And part of that means enjoying my life, enjoying being with my husband, enjoying being out on a date, enjoying a quiet evening at home, watching a movie that we've looked forward to, and sharing a meal together. And sometimes that involves me having a glass of wine. So that's just me. The next category is sweets. I personally, um, there are moderators and abstainers. There are those that I know need to abstain completely, or it drives up their cravings. They have issues. For me personally, I can moderate. I can enjoy a bite or two or whatever part of a dessert that I've made or that I want on vacation, on a night out, on a night in. It doesn't happen very often, but I have that food freedom to be able to do that, and I don't consider it cheating. I don't consider it um, going off the wagon. It's just my life. It's just me enjoying life, and it's just part of living. But everyone has to discover that for themselves, of whether they are able to do that or not, or whether they want to do that or not. Certainly isn't necessary. I'm certainly not doing it for any kind of nutrition benefit. It's just part of me redeeming the time of 48 years of illness, and now being so thankful to be able to live my best life, being able to be in vibrant health. So that's where I am with that. Vegetables mostly are a no. And it's not from a place of rules. It's not from, this is carnivore or bust, and I'm not allowed to have a vegetable. This is what takes me back to those first two questions. Does this food negatively affect me? And does this food help me reach my goals? Even a handful of romaine lettuce makes me bloated and causes me to have GI distress. It's not worth it to me. There are plenty of low oxalate vegetables that plenty of people enjoy. Asparagus. I have an asparagus grove in my pasture. I pick pounds and pounds of asparagus every year. And I've had to walk away from it because I don't like how I feel when I eat it. Fermented vegetables are the same way. I've thoroughly researched and investigated that and experimented with that, and I had the same reactions. I had oxalate overload that caused me very severe illness. I had interstitial cystitis, I had bladder spasms, I had constant urinary tract infections, I had pelvic pain, I had a female illness called vulvodynia that was excruciatingly painful. I had joint pain. I had horrible ringing in my ears called tinnitus. These all were told to me were incurable, and these all ended up being oxalate illnesses. And they have all also healed. So I don't have any desire to go down that road anymore. I want to feel good every day. Next is organs. I have tried all the different tricks and tips and hacks to include them into my nutrition profile. I have cooked them different ways. I have frozen bites of them and tried to swallow them frozen like a capsule. I have had them ground up within my ground beef and made burgers out of them. And it just doesn't work for me. I was never exposed to organs as a child, and of course, spending almost 40 years not consuming any animal products at all, on top of not being exposed to organs, I think it's just not my history. It's just not my culture. It's just not what I grew up with. And so it's just not something that I enjoy. I don't enjoy the flavor of it. I don't enjoy the taste of it. So how I have worked around that and done more healing in my life and in my illnesses by implementing organs is by taking freeze-dried desiccated capsules of organs. And I get those through Equip Foods. They're from grass-fed, grass-finished cows. And I have really seen some healing, profound healing, by implementing those. I don't take a full dose of either formula that I buy every day. I take about a half dose. And if anybody's interested, reach out to me. I can tell you how I started taking them and how I slowly raised how I was taking them, and gauged how I felt. And I also have a discount code if anyone's interested. When I travel, that's another category. What do you do when you travel? I do the best that I can. I'm fully aware of how restaurants cook things. I do my best. I tell them that I have allergies and sensitivities. I ask them to cook my steak or my ground beef, not in seed oils. I do the best I can by being proactive, asking for what I need, asking for what I want in a very cordial manner. Most of the time, 99% of the time, they are accommodating and helpful. But if it's not something that can be accommodated, I just eat the meal the best that I can and move on. Um, Flights, I usually fast or I bring beef with me on the plane. And I travel with travel sizes of salt. I travel with ghee. I travel with tallow. Whatever I feel like I need to have with me to make me feel consistently great every day. Um, I wish that I could give you a list. Back to that. I really encourage each of you to put in the time and do an elimination diet to discover what exactly is a perfect way of eating for you, because it will be so telling for you. If you reduce your foods down, if you need to go this strict and you go down to carnivore or the lion diet, and you have all the healing that you need to happen over the course of time, and then you slowly reintroduce one food at a time that you love once a day for several days, watch for reactions, take note of your reactions. Before long, doing that, you will come up with the perfect way of eating for you. And if you need help getting started or you need support all along the way, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you on the phone. I would love to message back and forth in direct message. And I'd love to work with you if you want ongoing support and ongoing nutrition help um, as a coaching client. If if things that I've said here tonight are helpful, please let me know. If there are other topics that you want me to talk about that I've experienced in these last 7 years, and you would be interested in knowing more detail about how I went about it, what I did, illnesses that I've healed from, different foods that I've investigated, um, different protocols that I've used, please reach out and tell me, and I will do my best to address those things in this format if this has been helpful. So I wish everyone all the best, and I love you all.